What if your flight gets cancelled just hours before takeoff? What if thousands of people across India wake up to this nightmare? At major airports like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, with no warning, no tickets, no way home. This December 2025, that nightmare became real. Welcome to the biggest mass cancellation crisis in Indian aviation history. This is the story of how DGCA regulations, corporate misplanning, and a pilot shortage grounded hundreds of flights in India and left millions stranded.
On 5th December 2025, IndiGo faced a massive crisis with over 1,000 flight cancellations nationwide, disrupting travel for nearly a week across major Indian airports. Terminals in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and other cities swelled with stranded travelers, leading to long queues and emotional scenes. IndiGo's on-time performance had already plunged in November, signaling underlying issues before the December meltdown. The official explanation points to newly enforced flight duty time limitations, or FDTL norms, for pilots and crew. These rules, fully enforced from 1st November 2025, mandate stricter rest periods and limit flying hours to minimize fatigue. While good for safety, the abrupt transition exposed IndiGo's massive crew shortage and poor planning, especially for its A320 fleet. This led to cascading cancellations as pilots and crew were unavailable, exacerbated by winter weather and holiday demand. Pilot bodies criticized IndiGo's management for a lean staffing strategy and failing to recruit enough crew to meet the new regulations. Ultimately, a regulatory change combined with poor preparedness and seasonal pressures created this significant operational meltdown. The ground reality was ugly as IndiGo faced a severe flight cancellation crisis in early December 2025, stranding thousands across India. Airports turned chaotic, with passengers stuck for hours and over 400 flights cancelled on 8 December alone, marking a week of disruptions. There was no clear communication, leaving families, wedding guests, and tourists stranded at major hubs like Delhi, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. One widely shared video showed a father pleading amid the chaos, highlighting the desperate situations many faced as staff struggled to manage the cancellations. At many airports, check-in counters were closed, display boards blank, and baggage continued to stack up, exacerbating the frustration. Social media exploded with frustrated flyers expressing anger and helplessness, as the crisis stemmed from new flight duty time limitations norms. As pressure mounted, the government stepped in, ordering a high-level probe and directing IndiGo to expedite refunds, capping fares for affected passengers. IndiGo's leadership issued a public apology, waived cancellation fees, and processed over 610 crore rupees in refunds, promising a gradual return to normalcy. However, critics argue this was not a sudden crisis, but a predictable collapse from mismanagement, poor planning, and a hiring freeze. Aviation experts and pilot unions criticized IndiGo for failing to adapt to the new regulations, highlighting issues in crew rostering and internal planning systems. The Ministry of Civil Aviation continues to monitor the situation, reiterating that passenger convenience and dignity remain its top priority.
The IndiGo crisis hasn't just affected a handful of flyers. It could ripple across Indian aviation and economy. For travelers, this meant ruined holiday plans, extra costs, lost time, emotional stress. With IndiGo handling 60% domestic flights, crisis shook supply chains, increased fares, overburdened trains during festive season. This situation raises questions about balancing crew fatigue rules with network operations. Are regulations realistic? IndiGo's reputation took a hit. Passengers think twice before booking. A government probe sets a precedent for stricter scrutiny and oversight. IndiGo aims for recovery by February 2026 through crew hiring and better rostering. Regulatory reforms and enhanced passenger rights are expected, focusing on transparency and compensation.
The 2025 IndiGo crisis is more than just cancelled flights and angry passengers. It's a mirror reflecting larger structural issues: regulation versus operation, profit versus safety, growth versus preparedness. If handled correctly, this meltdown could lead to stronger safety policies, better airline practices, and more reliable travel for all. If ignored, we might see repeat chaos, travelers losing faith, and possibly costs passed on to passengers. For now, as we watch the skies return to normal, one thing is clear: the flying game has changed in India, and so must the rules. If you found this breakdown useful, like, share, subscribe. Drop your experiences below. Were you affected by the IndiGo crisis? What should airlines do differently? Let's talk. Until next time, safe flights and informed journeys.